Awesome, guys. So we can get into this right now. Thank you all for joining today. Really, our goal is to extend our conversation from our last webinar as we dove into the capital opportunities specifically highlighted from the CARE Stimulus Act and also local loan programs from the SBA. Really, today was supposed to be a critical day. It was April 3rd, and it was supposed to be the opening of the PPP opportunities. But what you'll learn and what you'll probably see today is that everything is still scattered. PPP is not available as of today. And we'll kind of discuss what that timeline now looks. So really, our goal of the presentation is to give you the most up-to-date information. Stuff is literally coming out live every hour. So in this case, we'll share what we know today, how you guys are going to be able to navigate this, and essentially being best prepared. So in today's presentation, just quick background. If you've already been here, my background's technology startups. Essentially, I've been learning about this to help my own portfolio companies. I support between 15 to 20 different startups, either as an investor, operator, or an advisor. Here locally, I support a few programs, including Tribe, which is really focused on building a startup ecosystem in the greater Sacramento region, specifically highlighted out of Folsom initially. Outside of that, I've been trying to collaborate and help our community, and this is kind of where the Compass series came out of. And the great thing about the Compass series here is that we have quite a few different partners, and I just kind of want to highlight that. So in today's, I really want to call out an individual we've been working closely with, and that's Marianne of the Greater Folsom Partnership team. I'm sure you probably have already met her if you're a Folsom Chamber member. Marianne's been amazing, and it's been helpful in terms of collecting all this information really fast on the fly, helping us get not only this webinar series up, but also more importantly, getting all the content on the Folsom Chamber website as well. So, same thing with the entire Greater Folsom Partnership team. There are a bunch of amazing people there, including Joe and Phil and Taryn that we've been working with, including Lisa and dozens more. Just want to call out the Greater Folsom Partnership, who are one of the 3 core members of this series, alongside Granite City Coworking and my own organization, Tribe, as well too. So with that, let's kind of get into it and talk through what are the key details and updates that really apply to everyone today and how we're going to best navigate the PPP. So with the latest of the Paycheck Protection Program, it's really important to recognize this is all happening on the fly. Essentially, 1 week ago, the CARES Act was implemented, so we've only been into this about 5 business days. And what you'll probably recognize is 5 business days is not a lot of time to get a nationwide program installed, implemented, and executed. So although we were very hopeful about a lot of deadlines, the truth is a lot of stuff is falling through the cracks, and we're starting to see that, especially today. So what does that mean? Well, it means very simply the PPP is still in flux, right? This is one of the most important programs. And the reason why we'll focus on the PPP at the start is that this essentially is that forgivable loan. It's that loan that every organization wants to optimize for because it turns from a loan into essentially a grant, especially when it comes to protecting your payroll, your rent costs, and some of your utility costs as well. So with the information we now have today, it's important to understand, and we kind of highlighted and called this out, is, expect delays, right? Almost all banks and lenders are not ready to go today. Although April 3rd, Friday, was supposed to be the go date, literally no local lender is up, right? No one in this organization has allowed you to actually be able to apply for applications. So although that was our timeline, some people are still hopeful it might be up by end of day today. Realistically, this is going to be pushed to next week. So recognize that these delays are going to continue, and they're going to vary because these are individual lenders and credit unions and organizations. So they're taking the information and trying to interpret it and then implement themselves. Second, it's understanding that every lender is unique. So we'll talk through this a little bit later of who local lenders are and who are the partners you can work with. But it's important to recognize here is that they're each going to have their own guidelines. Although we're getting general guidance from both the US Treasury and the SBA, the implementation on a lender basis is going to depend on what information they're looking for. So once you understand the lenders and partners you want to work with, and again, we'll cover that later in this conversation today, it's important to follow their respective guidelines. The good thing is about 75 to 80% of the information is universal across kind of all partners, but it's that 10 to 20% that you want to be aware of and recognize, like, do I qualify, do I meet their needs, and do I meet their obligations? And again, we'll walk through those details shortly. Next, like talk about influx. Like the terms have changed literally in the last 48 hours 3 times. Initially, right from the first CARES Act, the guidance started and noted about the PPP loans was that the interest rate would not be greater than 4%. Then a day later, it came down to 0.5%. Now, in the last 24 hours, the guidance has come back to 1%. Essentially, you have to recognize that at least the terms are somewhat set based off what the Treasury is stating. It's a 1% loan with a 2-year kind of structure is what they're aiming for, especially for that isn't going to get deferred. But I just really wanted to highlight this is that we've already gotten 3 numbers in the last 48 hours. This is just how in flux everything is. Lastly, and I'll provide this link directly as well right now, just recognize that the entire update from the US Treasury just came back 48 hours ago, in the last 24 hours. So here I'm going to give you that link. It's a fun 31-page link that essentially gives you the full guidance of the US Treasury. And we'll follow up separately with it so you have all these links too. I would recommend looking at this because it actually gives you a little bit more detail on, say, the breakdowns, how you calculate. Here are some scenarios, say if an employee makes over 100,000, which is one of those important thresholds to count out. But again, this guidance came out yesterday evening, right? Essentially, this new 31-page update is what all lenders are reacting to, right? And if it's not, working correctly, right? Oh, sorry, it looks like the link isn't there. I'll send it again. Sometimes the hyperlink doesn't work exactly. If you copy paste that link into your URL, it should work. But again, we'll follow up afterwards. In short, what you have to understand is that this guidance came out in the last 24 hours and banks are responding as fast as they can. But that's pretty hard to create a whole digital platform, get the right requirements on what the loan needs to look like, and get it all implemented within 12 hours. And you can see the results, right? No loans are really being offered today from any individual lender as of this morning. So again, recognize that this is going to continue to be in flux and it's just a few days of chaos. I was already on a call between the SBA and US Treasury yesterday, and they're still fighting on what the loan really should look like and what the terms and applications should be. The US Treasury wants their loan, right, with their application and their guidance. The SBA believes it's not totally complete. So there's still a lot of conversations on what that's going to look like. You're going to have that debate. The key here and what's really important to understand in general is that this guidance should always be looking at the US Treasury first, as they're the ones who are really setting the loan standards. So we'll talk a little bit about what that guidance looks like. So just a quick overview for the Paycheck Protection Program. We walked through this deeply Wednesday. If this is all new to you, definitely watch the webinar replay on Wednesday. We really go into the details. But in short, right, the reason this is valuable, that this is an SBA loan that helps businesses keep their workforce employed during the coronavirus crisis. It's really focusing on keeping your staff full. That's really what the goal is here. The great thing about this, it's fully forgivable. The loans, essentially that if you utilize it for both payroll, rent, mortgage, interest, or utilities, you essentially would have that forgiven. And that's the real key here to understand what the parameters and why this paycheck program is really valuable for every small business locally. But like diving into the details, right? So like, what does the application look like? It's simple here, right? Is that you have a final guidance from the US Treasury as of March 30th, and it's the 3rd version here. I'll try to link this again. Hopefully this works. If not, someone will correct it in the email because, yeah, I see a few spaces are showing up. Good call. Let me see if that works then. No, not perfect. I'll do it one more time. And great, that second link should work. This essentially is the final guidance application coming from the US Treasury. What's important to note here is that by looking at this, it's really important to recognize that in this kind of element, this is kind of the core information that's coming out. So definitely review this and make sure that you meet all these guidelines as well for your own needs, because this is the guidance that every bank and lender is going to be utilizing. Aside from that, like, how do you apply? The important thing to understand is like all applications are going to be online. So portals are coming up as we speak. It looks like a few partners have already noted in chat that Bank of America has their portal up. So technically they're able to start taking on different information here as well. So the important thing to recognize is each partner will have their own application process and requirements, right? Because they are the lenders directly to a certain extent, they're going to have certain pieces of information based off how they're interpreting both the guidance and the CARES Act as well. They want to ensure they have all their bases covered. The other thing we're starting to see as well is because this is going to be so overwhelming and so overloaded, many of these banks are going to require an existing account with that lender, right? Meaning that you have already needed to have a previous relationship. The good thing that this isn't all the case, but it is an advantage. So if you do have an existing relationship with a lender that is approved for SBA and PPP loans, that is clearly where you need to start because that's where you have a leg up. So it's important to recognize that there is some history required for certain lenders because again, it's also going to give them more credibility because they know the history of your accounts. They can see the information a little bit more clearly. They already have a lot of the core information onboarded, so they don't have to require you to apply from scratch. So this is one of the new things we've started to see pop up in the last 24 hours. More importantly, the documentation requests will also vary here. And again, this is the struggle. Being a small business is I wish there was a clear 10 checklist that we all should be doing. Essentially, that's not going to exist. So we'll talk through really quickly what do the application processes look like from what we can see prior to this conversation starting. And lastly, it's understanding that the timelines are unknown. Bank of America looks like they have something landed. Wells Fargo has just noted that it might be coming later today or early next week. Chase straight up said, like, we don't want to even put it out today. We want to do it next week ourselves. So again, what you need to understand, it's going to be critical for you to communicate with your bank, or more importantly, talk or view their website for their specific resources when it comes to PPP or coronavirus in general, and make sure you're up to date when that application goes up. Because as we talked about last week and we'll confirm today, you need to act fast, right? A lot of this stuff will be oversubscribed, and essentially at that point, it's more of a first come first serve. So this is currently what the application process and what you need to think through. Don't go into banks, don't call banks. They don't want that. They want you to do everything online. So that's really the big takeaway here. So make sure you start getting acquainted with their digital profile and their digital websites as well. So what are lender requirements? So right now, I'm just gonna walk you through a few banks. Unfortunately, Ameris Bank is not here in California, so it won't actually apply. It's more of an example to showcase what they're looking for. Ameris Bank essentially was the first bank to actually put out an opportunity to apply. So that's why I'm just using them as an example here. So again, you could go to their Paycheck Protection Program and learn a little bit more about it. But what you kind of recognize here is that they want a lot of documentation. So this is at least a good comparable for us as we look through what is the documentation that needs to be prepared for our own banking institutions as well. So currently they're asking for the following: 2019 IRS quarterly 940, 941, 944 payroll tax reports. You should all have this depending on your business, because this is going to be a key requirement, especially considering that this is a great confirmed source through the IRS. The data is very clear. And more importantly, this is going to be the qualification for the PPP side in terms of what is the multiple, or what is that base that they're going to use for that 2.5x multiple to understand your total loan size. Next, they want payroll reports, and they wanted it pretty broken down. So gross wages of each employee, paid time off, vacation pay, family medical leave per employee, and state and local taxes per employee. So again, it's a pretty deep breakdown, but if you have a great payroll provider, this is all pretty easy to consume. If you're not using a payroll digital service, this is really where you need to step up and make sure you could provide these clarifications. And this is kind of where a lot of the gap of information is going to come in. You want all these all these details, as they're really going to confirm on your behalf what is the total maximum amount the PPP loan can be for your business. They also want to see 1099s for contractors that you used in 2019. They also want to see total health insurance premium paid, and the sum of all your retirement plan funding for both employees and owners, and all your 401k plans and IRAs. So again, that's a lot of information, but that essentially is the core documentation request you're getting from one of the first banks that's accepting applications. I'd recommend having all of this at a minimum. You should know all of this for your own business. The more information you have, the stronger your success will be in terms of not only getting a loan, but maximizing the total for your loan as well too, right? If you could give the information to your lender, make the lender do the hard work in terms of the calculations on what is maximally owed to you. And they're also incentivized to get you to your maximum ownership as well too. They just need the data to do so. So again, Ameris Bank is one of the first, but separately, like what do local partners look like? And a few are already coming up, but right now, essentially what you're seeing here is that it's still early. So Wells Fargo, we just got this update for them. They do have a URL you can check out, but the three things they've noted is you must have a Wells Fargo business checking account to apply through our site, and it must be established before February 15th, 2020. So if you do have a current Wells Fargo business checking account with them, Wells Fargo should be one of the first partners you go to because you already meet their pre-qualification, which gives you a leg up with them. So they should clearly be one of your first partners if you have this threshold met. You must have business online access to apply. And if you don't have business online access yet and you do have a business checking account, reach out to them. They can help you set this up online right now. More importantly, and again, you'll hear this over and over again, you cannot submit applications at the branch or over the phone. You need to get digitally sophisticated with each lender's portals, right? And that's going to be really critical as you understand their process. So you need to make sure their portals work with your device that you're using. You need to make sure that you could read and know that information. You know where to navigate and where the updated information is going to be for each of these partners, right? And really what you're going to see probably over the next 12 hours today, because again, everyone's expecting April 3rd, the PPP application should be available. A lot of people are going to put a lot of placeholder information, right? So there might be local banks, but it's essentially going to be a PDF that they're essentially restructuring or white labeling with the Treasury guidance. So it'll be like, hey, get into our queue process by sending us this information, but it's not essentially a real application. So just note that it's still valuable to get into that queue, but these aren't going to be fully real applications for most lenders today. They're working hard, they're trying to get everything through, but because adding a digitally sophisticated landing page, getting all information, making sure it's encrypted, there's a lot of technical stuff that needs to go into it. I'd actually assume most of these would be very suspect, right? I mean, and to be honest, Ameris Bank, the first one I really highlighted today, doesn't even have a website to capture that. They want you to email all that stuff to them, right? Because that's how they got around this to get this up really quickly. They didn't create a landing page to create the intake of information. They straight up just said, email it to this very specific account, and that's it. So again, it's recognizing that although you might see some information coming from a lot of your lenders today, most won't be actually ready. But we'll update you, especially with our local partners, and we'll talk to some of the local partners that have that provided today. Our goal is to give you this to you live, but it's recognizing this is very live. Lots of stuff will happen. I'm sure by the end of this conversation and this presentation, I'll have 5 things wrong or 5 new updates have already occurred. And that's kind of the big element here as well too. So like, who are the local lenders supporting? And again, this is more focused on Folsom, as that's really where we're starting here. And again, there's a lot more banks that probably apply in the greater Sacramento region. But just to get you a start here, it's Tri-Counties Bank, Wells Fargo, Umpqua, Central Valley, Banner, First Northern Bank, Five Star Bank, and Safe Credit Union. Really, for anyone who's local, if you have a relationship with any of these individuals, you should absolutely reach out and make sure that you know what their digital landing page is, and more importantly, what their timeline for acceptance is as well too. Lastly, the Greater Folsom Partnership has created this Dropbox link that I've shared with you that has the direct contact phones and emails for all these sources. This was put together by Phil Scott. What's really great about this is that it's direct contact information and people who want you to reach out. So, if you're looking for that specific provider at one of these banks that has or is specifically taking the lead on PPP loans, this would be the great list to do. So again, keep an eye out as things are coming on. You're going to see a lot of really cool information pop up live, and partners are going to try reacting really quickly. But in short, what you need to understand is find the current banking partners you have, make sure that they're offering SBA and PPP, and start from there. That is a warm connection, and a warm value in this case is a huge advantage, especially considering how overloaded this system is going to get. So take a look at that direct link, make sure you have the contact information, and feel free to reach out. Everyone on that list is expecting a reach out. Also, on that list, there's 5 other contacts on the bottom, I believe, that are not doing PPP loans. So make sure you're reading on that structure who the right contacts are. We just kind of want to highlight all your banking partners here locally that we had reached to from the Greater Folsom Partnership, but about 80% of that list is providing PPP loans. So a great way to start the conversation, and of course, reaching out to these individuals via email or call are a great way to at least understand their timeline and process. And more importantly, all these individuals realize this is incredibly pressing for all small businesses. So they're going to do their best to make sure that they're updating on their website. The other great thing is we also provide the URL links for all the landing pages, specifically applying to either the PPP loans or their COVID-19 websites. That's really the URL you want to look for. So if you don't see your bank on this list, it's really simple. Type in your bank's name on Google and type in COVID-19 resources. That's it. You should hopefully land with the first result to their landing page, and you'll understand whether or not they're taking applications, if they're fit for SBA or PPP. The second thing you do is call that bank directly and ask them if they're doing it as well. These are the 2 simple things you should be doing today, tomorrow, and they're closed Sundays, but hopefully on Monday morning as well. You should pester to a certain extent, but make sure, right, most of this information will be available on that digital website. So as long as you're checking that every morning, you'll be in a much better shape as well too. Great. So, what tools exist to help me right now? I just wanted to share a few. One really good technology company is called Lendio. If you go to their website, they'll actually help you navigate this process to a certain extent and also help highlight local loans within your region. This is one of the few smarter technology tools out there. And again, it's well backed. They have over 400 employees. It's a pretty legitimate technology business, and I would recommend them to at least start the conversation if you're struggling to find lenders, resources, etc. Outside of that, if you do not have a digital payroll partner yet, I would highly recommend this. So if you're working with partners like, say, Gusto, Zenefits, or Rippling, again, these might all be new names for you. The amazing thing about these services is that they essentially do all your HR and for you on your behalf in a technology suite solution. It's fairly cost effective, and the best part about all these guys is they have all your data and they optimize. So, my dad runs on Gusto. He uses it for all of his payroll for a small business here on a pool business side. And Gusto already provided him a report that showcases him what is the total maximum opportunity has for PPP loans. It already has made that calculation for him. It's already given him all the documentation for the last 12 months, 6 months, 9 months for his respective business so that he could apply with it with a turnkey manner. So again, I might recognize not a lot of you have already invested in these tools, and that's fine, but you should definitely add them now. They're amazing, and you'll definitely see from a lot of local businesses who use them, they're fantastic. Gusto is my favorite. I think they're by far the best value, best return, but Zenefits and Rippling have different use cases. I think Zenefits and Rippling are incredibly valuable, especially for technology-based startups, but Gusto is one of the most well-rounded and easy to use platforms. So definitely check that out. If you're not using any of these tools, it's okay. Just talk to who your providers are. You should be talking to your payroll provider, your tax, and your accounting professionals, and start getting all of this information. What's really important here and what's really critical here is recognizing that you need to start getting this information, right? Look at that first list from the example that I showcased from Ameris Bank. That was a lot of data. You need to start talking to every resource in your network that provided for it and make sure they're giving you both hard copies and soft copies of this. When I say that hard copies are physical in-hand paper, soft copies, of course, are digital because you're going to be applying online. So soft copy is almost more important than anything else. So that's the other important factor. And that's, again, what these digital services do incredibly well. It's turnkey, gets you all your numbers and all your data, but you really want to make sure you have all that information so you can have a real expectation of what the total of the PPP loan is going to look like for your respective business as well too. So like, there's a lot of information on PPP. Again, if you need more details on parameters, loans, and use cases, check out our last webinar that we did on Wednesday. That's really where we covered it. But like, again, keeping it real again here, like details are still in flux. We're at least getting good foundational guidance now. So if you look at the Treasury's PDF, you look at their application and a few of the local applications, we kind of have a good 90% understanding of the information that's required, right? Next, like talk directly with your current banking partners and understand if they're providing PPP loans, right? So if we did not have your bank on this list, right, definitely reach out and ask them if they're qualified for that. Are they able to be an accredited SBA lender, and are they tackling PPP loans? Because if they are, great, you want to optimize for warm connections first. And if they're not, you need to go start finding those cold connections and start reaching out, right? Find a respective partner, utilize that Dropbox link that we've just shared, right? There's a lot of people who are willing to, and if banks are smart, this is their best opportunity to onboard new customers and relationships. The banks that do the best manner of deploying PPP capital out is going to be a really critical manner of building a long-term business relationship with that business too. So they're highly incentivized, you know, especially if they're good actors. So make sure you do have those conversations. Again, expect delays. This system is not built for this volume. You know, we'll have a few speakers today, and we had a few speakers on Wednesday. The SBA is overloaded. This stuff's still going. Your lenders are overloaded. They're trying to take documentation that's coming to them live every 12 to 24 hours. It doesn't matter if they have thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees. It's just you can't implement stuff overnight, right? It's just the reality of this situation. So just know there are going to be delays. So, you know, if you could have that embraced as a thesis, you know, you're not going to be constantly disappointed, because this week has been just constant disappointment thus far. So, you know, you need to really take that in and recognize that this will probably be the norm, because, you know, other things to recognize, like we still don't know when the capital will land, right? We don't even know when applications open up. You know, when do you expect actual capital land in your account? It's still an unknown. You know, there's guidances of 1 to 2 weeks, you know, but essentially recognize that these are all guidances. These are best case scenarios. And in a lot of these circumstances, we're not going to hit best case timeline, right? Next, like just apply with detailed and precise numbers. Like please, please, over this weekend, you know, you need to essentially get all this information we just talked about on the applications, right? You need to reach out to all banking partners, period. Like spend your time doing that today and tomorrow. As soon as you get off this call, right, send emails to all these individuals that you can, so you can figure it out. I'm sorry for all the banking providers on our email list that you're probably going to get inundated, but this is their job and this is the value. So please make sure you're actionable and deployed quickly. Make sure you know your numbers so you understand what is required. So again, if you missed our last webinar, walk through and make sure you understand the parameters, right? That's really key. And you also want to make sure here that, you know, essentially with the parameters here too is, with these parameters here too, is that you need to make sure that you can prove this so the loan will be forgiven, right? Because that's the other element. You need to play within the rules, because yeah, it's great to have a loan at 1% interest. That's actually a really good loan. But it's amazing when that's not a loan anymore and it's a forgiven grant, right? That's day and night. So make sure you're playing within the rule sets there specifically so that you can actually get, you know, this entire loan forgiven with those rule sets. Lastly, like be proactive and apply fast, right? That's, again, probably the best advice I can give you here at this point. No one knows when all this stuff is going to open up. No one understands, you know, when this stuff is going to be of value. So recognize on your front that the faster you act, the better your chances are, right? The most recent guidances we're getting right now is they expect everything to be you know, overloaded. They do not expect to be able to meet everyone's needs. $349 billion sounds like a lot, but it doesn't when you look at it in terms of the size of our small and medium business economy as well too. So again, just recognize in this process, there's still a lot to be, you know, understood, but if you apply fast, you're giving yourself a better chance of success. So that's kind of it on the PPP side. I want to walk you through some other quick updates that could be of high value to you and your organization as well too. So why am I, there we go. So we talked a little bit about the EIDL last week. I think the big thing here is to recognize is that there's an element to that that could be valuable right now, and it's the emergency advance aspect of that loan. What's really cool here about the emergency advance aspect here is that for everyone, this could be a really quick loan. This seems to be the capital that might be deployed the fastest. So let's talk through what those terms are and how you're able to access this right now. So right now with the EIDL emergency advance, right, you have the general EIDL loan that goes up to $2 million. And again, we covered that in our last webinar. What we're going to focus here is what the EIDL loan advance, emergency advance looks like. And this is up to $10,000, right? So that's pretty meaningful for most small, medium businesses. So they've noted that funds will be made available following a successful application. And more importantly, this loan advance will not have to be repaid. So this is the only element of the EIDL that is essentially forgivable, right? Which is a value. While the rest of the EIDL loan is a loan that's essentially structured at a 3.75% interest rate. So when you apply for the EIDL, you have the opportunity to also apply for this emergency. And what's great about this is that they're right now stating that it should come out within the next 3 to 5 days. But as you've probably seen, don't expect any of these dates to be your best case scenario. I know people who've applied, on Monday and they haven't heard anything this week, right? So realistically, there's still a lot of stuff in flux. But what I'm hearing directly from both the SBA and the Treasury is that this is the capital that will be deployed first. So this will be top of funnel, specifically this $10,000. So for everyone out there who needs emergency capital, definitely apply for the EIDL loan and specifically the emergency advance, as this is probably the capital you will see the fastest, right? And again, it is not tons of capital, but it's some capital, and some capital is really important during these times of need. Really quickly, who can apply for this, right? You just need to be in business by January 31st, 2020. Any small business with less than 500 employees. Showcase that you suffered some substantial economic injury loss, right? And that's pretty clear here, especially for a lot of small and medium businesses. The important thing to understand here is the EIDL and more importantly, the emergency advance is directly through the SBA, right? This is not through lenders. This is the SBA that's providing this through. So on your end, you want to go to the following link, the COVID-19 relief, SBA.gov. Let me just try copying that, and share that with you. Like I said, this is not through your lenders. Your lenders cannot help you with any of this stuff. This is purely through the SBA, and you must apply through this link. Great thing here is, right, there's no cost to apply. You should be applying and seeing what you qualify for, and you should hopefully be getting the necessary information from that as well. So with the emergency advance directly through SBA, PPP will be through SBA accredited lender. Great. Next thing really quickly to talk through, hopefully we'll have a couple speakers at the end of this who can kind of provide a little bit clarity, but this is one of the other new elements that are coming out, and this is called the SBA Express Bridge Loans. This is a pilot program. So when I say pilot program, recognize we're still learning about this. But essentially, if you do have a business relationship with an SBA Express lender, and we'll follow up a little bit more, it's important to recognize that they can give you access up to $25,000 quickly. This is their exact terminology. How quick? No one knows. These loans are valuable mainly because they could be used as a bridge when applying for EIDL, right? And EIDL essentially could be coming out in 2 to 4 weeks. This could be capital that's deployed faster. From what I've heard, it could be a 1 to 2 week deployment is really what the realistic expectation in a best case scenario looks like. So again, something to look through, something that could be of value. Again, looking at bridge opportunities are going to be important. So based off the SBA's website, and again, what's really important to recognize here is that it's up to $25,000. They note it's fast turnaround. They'll be repaid in full or in part by the proceeds from the EIDL loan. It is a pilot program, meaning that anything that's a pilot from the government, always assume it's never great. That's just the honest truth. They're trying it out. They're trying to deploy it. The other thing to recognize here is that they've not provided a direct application for this yet. What they have provided is a long PDF guidance that I will try to link through correctly and ensure most of the spaces have been deleted. I should have created a better list for this. Hey, that worked. So again, you can kind of walk through that and just see what the requirements are. This is somewhat new. It's somewhat revolving. We'll have a few questions at the end to help answer what this opportunity actually looks like, but it's being promoted heavily on the SBA.gov's website. So it's something that they're clearly interested in. So please definitely check out the information and see whether or not this is an interesting opportunity. So what we just highlighted really quickly here are two bridge or near-term capital opportunities for the EIDL program, right? Essentially, first you have the 10,000 advance, and then next you have this 25,000 bridge loan term, right? Both of these are supposed to be meant to allow you to access capital quickly. Quickly is probably 1 to 2 weeks at this point if you were to apply today. Realistically, they're both there to serve for the larger EIDL loan grant. Right? That is what the bulk of the capital should be that you'll be getting. These just kind of offer you support in this near term, as you know, every system understands gaps and capital will be important. So again, two new opportunities to kind of look through and see if it fits your business. We'll also be updating accordingly with all the direct links and updates with application sites as well via email following this conversation too. Great. So the other new thing that just came out is the California Financial Relief Plan. And when I say just came out, it was announced yesterday and is technically open today. This has some meaningful value to small and medium businesses, and this was directly through Governor Gavin Newsom's own plan as well too. So what is this? Well, the California Financial Relief Plan is allowing small businesses to defer payment of sales and use taxes of up to $50,000 for up to 12 months, right? So essentially for any sales tax you might have to pay for the last 12 months, you can essentially defer up to $50,000 of it for up to 12 months. So essentially this is a bridge loan, right? This is not a grant of capital. This is just providing you capital flexibility to make better decisions and better application for your use of capital today. Again, this just went live today. And by live, they actually literally launched the website for people to technically start applying directly. Next here is the quick link that is on behalf of the the California government's website as well. Here, this really just highlights what is the information, what is the application, and how you can apply it, or essentially retroactively applied if you've already paid your taxes for 2019. So again, they're here to help, they're here to extend. This is a nice small reprieve for small businesses. It is not the primary return for your business by any means. Again, in this time of need, you need to compound all the elements that work for you and your business. So again, this is kind of an order of value if you look at everything, right? PPP at the top, next is EIDL, next is EIDL's, emergency loan or emergency grant of 10,000. Next is the the pilot program through the EIDL, and then next is this California Financial Relief Plan. On your end, you should aim to exhaust all of these, understand these, know what their value is, and make sure that you're able to get any small win. So on these websites you see here as well, you get all the up-to-date information. Again, everything is new, everything is live. We're going to learn more in terms of guidance. So on this front, we'll follow up as well with not only more detailed information, but how do you specifically apply? We really want to get guidance from a few of our account executives and network individuals who are familiar with tax law here, so that you can essentially apply this correctly for your 2019 taxes. And then of course, ensure you can take full advantage of that 12-month deferral here. So again, another great way for you to take some advantage, some leverage, so you have meaningful capital use here as well for your own business too. Great. So, kind of closing here, I wish there was a little bit more concrete details, but as you can tell, it's all just kind of moving left and right. So in this case, right, it's all about being proactive for loans and services. So just as a quick recount, start preparing for your applications. This is what you still control. You can understand what the information is, what is the exact documentation that's necessary, and make sure you qualify accordingly, right? And more importantly, what you should also be doing is that if there are gaps, you should be asking a lot of questions, right? Every business is unique here. Every business essentially, right, is going to have their own edge cases. So identify those edge cases now and start talking to the right people. Next, like identify your local PPP lenders, right? Find out those who are actually supporting these PPP SBA loans. Not everyone is. That's the important factor here. So you need to make sure you know who is and who isn't. More importantly, you also want to qualify who are warm contacts you have, meaning that you have an existing business relationship. Start there first if they're doing PPP loans. If you don't have anyone with a warm relationship, start reaching out and see what their pre-qualifications are. As noted, Wells Fargo currently requires a history. So Wells Fargo would not be my first email to send out if I were looking for a cold relationship right now. Really, you probably will want to optimize for more credit unions rather than traditional large national or global institutions as well. But right now, optimize for warm first, go through all those, go through anyone you've ever banked with, and you should be sending them an email or a contact as, are you doing PPP loans? If so, can you send me your link? If you can do that, it could be really, really interesting. That could be really exciting for your own business as well too. Next, right, communicate with multiple SBA lenders. Even if you only see like one that you have a relationship with, you should still be reaching out to a few others. And the reason for this is that people might have different interpretations on both the terms and the total maximum amount you can apply through the PPP loans as well too. So the great thing here, especially on behalf of your business and behalf of your organization, is recognizing that you should find the best terms, right? You should never negotiate with one partner. You should always be negotiating with multiple. But of course, right, do what you can in order to see the terms and understand the respective processes. If you've already done all the hard work of getting your application prepared, it's just a couple more extra conversations you now need to add to see what those terms could essentially look like, right? Now it's like apply as early as you can for EIDL and the Express Bridge loans, right? You should already have an application in. There's an application landing page on the SBA.gov website. This should be a no-brainer to apply, because applying doesn't mean you take the capital directly, right? You still have a choice, but it's understanding optionality, right? In this case, what I tell all my businesses right now is build for optionality. Know the choices you have, right? And this could be a loan that could be meaningful. And at a 3.75% for the core EIDL loan and potentially a forgivable $10,000 amount, this is pretty high value for most businesses across the board. So again, apply fast, apply quick, and same thing, this is gonna apply directly for PPP. As soon as you see one of your warm business contacts put their website up, you better be hitting refresh every morning and every couple hours on their website. That is probably the most crucial thing you should do as a small business owner for your business today. Next is, right, take advantage of the California bridge loan against sales and use tax, right? It's still important to recognize that, this is still of value. Although it's not your primary value, it's something that A, is backed by your local state, B, the state might be able to move faster than federal. So this could be a capital choice that does come in a little bit faster. They're aligned really well to make sure this works. I personally am a big fan of Governor Gavin Newsom, and I believe that they've already been doing quite a bit today. Outside of that, right, what you want to recognize is that you need your numbers correctly to understand how much you qualify for, because the cap is $50,000 on sales and use tax here. So if you do this correctly, it's a really good way to take advantage and really help your books and get deferment for that 12 months. Lastly, and most importantly, have excellent documentation. This is still the most critical issue I run into with small and medium businesses at this point, right? So they don't have soft copies of all these details. So if you don't have your own soft copies, meaning digital copies of all the documentation we've talked through, please make sure you're requesting that from your respective partner, whether it's a technology tool you're using or a direct accountant or a direct tax service. This should be the first email you're sending out. Secondly, if they do not respond fast enough to get you your soft copies, you should be looking at either how to scan your hard copies in digitally or utilize any of the scan apps available on Android and iOS, like TurboScan and a few others out there. They're really amazing. You essentially take a photo of your hard, your hard documentation, and essentially in really high quality, it will give you a digital PDF version of that. And again, we'll follow up with some links that could be helpful. That's a lot more time consuming, but if it's your only choice and you can't get a soft copy of something that you need, it's better than nothing. Because again, how are you applying for all of these loans right now? It's through a digital relationship, right? It's a digital application. So this is what they're gonna want, and you need to be able to add that in. Outside of that, on excellent documentation, create like excellent foldering of your files, right? Make sure that you can easily make it quick and concise for any partner who's reviewing your documentation to be able to review both folders and titles for it. One of the big mistakes a lot of people do when they send over PDFs or docs is that they don't title them correctly. They title them with like arbitrary numbers or 0, 1, 2.pdf. So it's incredibly hard for a lender to review and really be able to understand what is the critical information they're looking for. And because these people are overwhelmed, right, they would just maybe put you on the bottom of their pile at that point rather than deal through the headaches, right? So what you need to think through is, how do you deliver the ideal user experience on a lender to make sure that they can understand the information, easily access it, and more importantly, be able to add that information and confirm that information on behalf of your application. So think through that process. So that's foldering and name filing correctly, and more importantly, titling the individual docs incredibly well. Also title with dates as much as you can. And there's great formatting examples available. And we'll also follow up separately on how we're currently creating our own foldering and files on behalf of a couple companies. In short, this is a capital on a first come, first served basis. As amazing as a $349 billion program is, it's also really important to understand it's not enough money, right? So everything is going to dry up really, really quickly. And it's really understanding is, can you be at the top? So you need to do everything you can to give you and your business a meaningful advantage to access this capital on the best terms. So essentially, look through both this webinar and our last webinar to know that you're playing within the rules, and then you're optimizing for those rules. If you do that correctly, you can really, really take advantage of the system and hopefully get that meaningful capital that you need. So, this is just really kind of the core element here of what I want you guys to take away. Be actionable, be dynamic, and be ready, right, for anything to change on any given day. So if you get all your documentation, everything, all your ducks in a row, you're going to have a much better chance here as well. So outside of that, we're going to jump to a quick Q&A as well. Reach out to your local resources. The Greater Folsom Partnership is doing a great job for everything here locally in Folsom. I know we have individuals all around the greater Sacramento area. Reach out to your local chamber, understand what they're doing. But more importantly, you could also reach out to us. We're happy to share our tools. The email for us is teamrecovery@folsompartners.com. So anything that we can help answer, feel free to share, and we'll do our best to either answer directly or provide a direct introduction for someone who could be meaningful as well too. So right now it's recognizing, leverage everything you have here, and local resources are a great way to do so. Separately, it's just like kind of a quick call out. If you're a direct to consumer brand who's interested in investing into digital, please reach out. Specifically for the Tribe Group, we're really interested in like any physical product that sells for $5 to $20 is our sweet spot. So if you're a company that sells chocolates, candies, packaged beverages, food, skin, healthcare products, educational toys, etc., let us know. We'd be willing to partner up and help you guys build a better digital presence for sales. It'll be for no cost directly up front. We really just want to figure out some elements on how to support local businesses here. We've already brought on 6 local businesses over the last week that we're supporting, and we have room for about another 5. So again, if you're looking to really expand your digital sales efforts, understanding and taking your product in a digital consumer mindset, we'd love to chat. Feel free to reach out and send a little bit of an introduction around your business at partners@thetribe.group. Candies and food are really top of the list for us because those are really easy to scale, but we're open to anything. So if you got a crazy idea, let us know and tell us a little bit about your product, your business, and your opportunity. And again, this will all be incredibly high value help for you for no upfront cost. We really just want to figure out how we could help build a lot of local businesses to create a stronger digital presence, as a lot of our upcoming webinars next week will be about digital storefronts. So we want to showcase with real clear examples as well too. So outside of that, guys, I kind of want to kick it over to a few individuals who are on the call as well. that can really help with some Q&A and answer some questions real quick. So give me a chance and let me, give me a second, and I will stop sharing this and try getting a few of the right individuals here. So, we'll start with Carrie from the SBA directly. I know Carrie joined us on our call last Wednesday. Let me unmute real quick. Hey, Carrie, you there?
I am.
Awesome.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Thanks so
That's
much.
perfect.
So, I know a lot of information. I know you've been in the thick of it for the last, couple of days, especially even since our last call on Wednesday. It'd be great really quickly to kind of get an update on your end on what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and any other meaningful advice that maybe we didn't cover on our call today that you think would be important for our members and individuals who join.
Thank you. I'm happy to do that. And I think the foremost thing on many people's minds is the PPP program that is offered through our banking partners. And this is an unsurmountable, incredible time, one we've never been through as an agency. And with 2,000 people working across the country for our agency, executing on some of these new pieces of legislation as fast as we can has been a bit of a challenge. So our lending partners are standing at the ready and taking applications when we have not even been able to give them the actual guidance as how to execute on that and offer those through our agency. So please be patient with these lenders as you approach them. Understand that they are waiting the official guidance on exactly what the parameters are for them to go and apply and put their guarantee request in with SBA. So that I think is the main thing I would like to share with you. A couple other points. The interest rate on that PPP loan is set at 1%. So the point in approaching different lenders to find out who you want to work with is not the interest rate. It's going to be whether or not they're participating in the program. The program is optional for lenders, but all federally insured lenders are eligible. So you may work with a lender that has decided that for whatever reason they cannot do this program, then that would be a reason to go look at a different lender. I would encourage you small businesses to work with the lender that you have a relationship with. I believe most of the lenders in our region are going to participate, as well as other lending organizations that'll be eligible once we get this up and running, so to speak. So that would be my point on that. And then on the EIDL loans, those loans are directly funded from SBA, and they have the online portal for you to apply. As I mentioned on Wednesday, we have made public-private partnerships working with other organizations that do the loan processing through portals, and they are assisting us in handling the volume for the loan program that we're receiving in terms of the EIDL. These two programs, the EIDL program and the PPP program, are not mutually exclusive. You can apply for both of these programs, as well as the EIDL $10,000 advance forgivable loan. It's not considered a grant because you do have to apply, and there are some basic credit requirements and information that's required. So I will encourage all of you to utilize every one of these options. They can help you. The EIDL loans do not cost you anything to obtain an application. And if you decide not to use the funds because you were able to access the PPP plan faster, then you don't have to take those disaster loans that are approved through EIDL. Those are at a fixed rate of 3.75% for a small business, with the first 10,000 up to 10,000 being forgiven. And the not-for-profit rate is 2.75% on the EIDL loan. So the difference in rate between that PPP loan and the EIDL loan is 1.75% for a not-for-profit and 2.75% for a for-profit. So really, when you look at the term of the EIDL loan, which is 30 years with 12 months from the time you obtain those funds before you make a payment, any existing EIDL loans from the car fire in our area and region, those loans are also being put on hold for the borrower until the end of December. So we're doing our best to defer payments during this difficult time for our small businesses, as well as individuals that might be a small business owner that was affected by a previous disaster.
Great.
That's kind of my high level.
No, I appreciate it. Just maybe a couple quick questions really from the community that might be helpful. So, one of the things we're starting to see is that a lot of banks are requiring a previous history or an account to be able to apply through them. I'm curious, for those who might not have a history, is there any individuals that you would recommend, or any banks or partners you'd recommend that don't have that element to that, where, if they essentially don't have a relationship, they'd still be willing to take on? Just curious if you have any general guidance there.
I don't, but I do know that as the program is opened up in the next phase, where there will be other individuals that will be able to take those applications, that may be an option for a small business. The only one of the three programs I did not mention was the Express Bridge Loan. That, under that program guide, which is out and lenders do have access to it, they are required to have an existing relationship. Any of the others are not required. My sense is that possibly the lenders are looking to service their clients before they take on additional clients at this point with either the bridge, which they can't, or the PPP, which they can take on new people if they so choose to.
Got it. Okay, that's super helpful. I mean, and then I think the last question I think I've been seeing is, as valuable as you see with both the PPP loans and the EIDL loan, the unknown timeline of COVID and coronavirus seems to be one of those creeping elements. Is like, what happens if, as a business, you can't sustain until the economy really comes back? Like, what would be your obligation on those loans, right? Like, say if you have to close and have to essentially close your business, are you now required and no longer be able to have the forgiveness of, say, a PPP loan? Or just curious, how does that apply for an EIDL loan if you were to go out of business?
As I understand it, in the EIDL loan program, those loans are the $10,000 advance can be forgiven. The rest of it would be still a requirement to be repaid. But again, it's over a 30-year period, and it's at 3.75 for a for-profit, 2.75 for a not-for-profit. It is a federally covered debt, so you do need to repay the portion that isn't forgiven of the $10,000, but the rest would be required to be repaid. I believe, as I haven't seen our SOP on the PPP program, but I would believe it would fall into the same parameters as well, because these programs are paid for with taxpayer dollars. So they have certain requirements that are legislated that are just part of that mandate. I know that for a lot of these programs, they're relaxing some of the requirements in terms of credit score. I don't know what it is because they have an algorithm. So they are broadening those, trying to reach out to our small businesses and give them as much assistance to help them make it through the COVID disaster.
Got it. Great. So my last question here then is that it seems like with the EIDL loan, specifically with that $10,000 emergency advance, essentially, any guidance in terms of what you think that timeline is? Will you get notification if you've been approved for it, or will it just show up in the account? Like, what does that process look like for people who've applied for it?
So on the EIDL advance loan of up to $10,000, what happens with that is once you're approved for an EIDL loan, you will receive an email. So make sure you include that in your application, and it'll notify you that yes, you've been approved, and here's the dollar amount. And then what will happen is the Department of Treasury, who we're partnering with on this program, will have automatically put those funds into your account. They've stated that it would be within 3 to 5 days. So that's the plan, and it sounds like that they will be able to deliver on that time frame. I have not heard of anyone yet who's received those funds, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened, because I've been on the other end of this working on trying to get people information. So the stated plan for that is 3 to 5 days from the time you're approved, and you do need to look for an email to learn about that approval. And since we're on the topic, I just want you all to know and be very well aware that there already are people trying to scam small businesses. So please be diligent. If anything is not from a .gov website and they're asking you for information or your account or money, or they want you to help you and pay them to do one of these applications for the EIDL loans, that's not legitimate. There's no fee required. There's no reason for you to have someone assist you for money. We do have free resources out there with our small business development centers that have been trained up and are ready to meet with you and help you if you're having challenges putting your financial paperwork together at no cost. They're funded through the SBA as well as other supporting organizations. So please be on the alert already for people that are trying to take advantage of small businesses during this difficult time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carrie. This has been incredibly fantastic. We appreciate you for your time, but we'll let you get back to work because I know the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty fun for you as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem, guys. So with that, guys, we're going to switch over to our next speaker as well. We have Scott Rogalski from the SBDC. Hey, Scott, let me see if I can unmute you or if you could unmute yourself.
I did, I think.
Awesome. How's it going, Scott?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Appreciate you having on here. We'd love to hear a little bit about your background, kind of what the SBDC is offering right now, and would love to hear kind of any of the local advice you'd recommend for our business owners today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the invite, and good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Rogalski. I'm the director of NorCal SBDC, Small Business Development Center's Finance Center. It's really confusing, I know. So there's a lot of acronyms. So my background really quickly is I was a commercial lender for 10 years, a lot of business banking, a lot of branch management stuff. And then I got tired of saying no to business owners in 2015, so I quit. I came to the SBDC, started doing some consulting on my own, and essentially helping businesses navigate the arduous process of getting access to capital, whether it be traditional bank financing, conventional, or some alternative financing. So I do a lot of educational webinars and seminars and teach people how to navigate the process, how to do that, understand the lending landscape, how to fill out their financials, how to talk banker speak, and how to do all that and essentially get an answer before you do an application. So yes, so I've been in and out of SBDC for the last 5 years throughout the state of California, doing a lot of educational talks, as I mentioned, a little bit of a legislative work at the Capitol to let the legislators know who we are and how we can help their constituents. As far as what we're doing now, our job has changed. We have experts that come to you at no cost because we're funded by SBA, Small Business Administration. Carrie just spoke. So Carrie and her district, they fund us locally for the Sacramento district, for Northern California and the northeastern part of the state. And what we do is we're the consulting arm of SBA. There's a couple others like SCORE, Women's Business Centers, and the V-Box. But what we do is we specialize in helping businesses access capital. So we do nothing but currently, we do nothing but loan packaging, helping them find the loans that are available. Right now, Carrie mentioned the three that are in existence. Before the world ended and before the crisis, right, there was hundreds of loan products out there that anybody could get. Right now, it just seems like if you're in a disaster mode, which most businesses are, there's very few smart, young, techie people that are starting businesses right now. And there's very few industries that are growing right now. So most people that we talk to are experiencing some sort of disaster. The one loan that's available that seems like it's impossible to get is this $25,000 disaster bridge loan that came out in 2017. Unfortunately, nobody's talking about it. And like Carrie mentioned, it's really hard to get lenders to do it. But apparently they're set up to give you, a small business, $25,000 in a day or two or a couple days to help you during this bridge disaster time. And for some reason, they're a little bit reluctant to do it, but that's not on SBA, it's on the lender. It's always on the lender. for that loan. The EIDL loan, the economic disaster loan through SBA, is a direct loan from SBA. It doesn't come from a lender. It comes directly from SBA, from DC. And you just need to go to sba.gov and you need to apply. And the faster you do that, the faster you get yourself in the queue. What we're doing at SBDC is we're working with business owners at no cost. We're here for you. We're here to help you. We're going to do whatever it takes morally and ethically to help you get funding. We can't guarantee that you can get funding, but we're here to help you apply. We're here to help you put your financials together. We know it's a scary time. We also know that CPAs and bookkeepers are extended right now. And they may not have time to talk to you, and they may charge you to talk to you. But guess what? We are teaching our team overnight, over the last few days, on how to become CPAs and bookkeepers, not with certifications, not with licenses, but as far as the knowledge that we need to know on how to break down your financials and help you put that together so that you could apply for either the PPP. I call it the PPP. It's because it's Payment Protection Program. It's really hard to say 10 times fast. The other one is the EIDL, Economic Disaster Loan, and you can apply for both. This last week, we've been doing our own mathematical equations, mostly me, because I just love math, and trying to figure out the best way to help these business owners apply for both. Because you can apply for both. You can apply for two. Some say you can't, but you can. We dissected it. We know how to do it. I'm teaching my team how to do it. We're extensively hiring contractors as we speak. I hired 20 this week. I'm going to hire 20 next week. I need good people that you know that want to make $75 an hour to help these businesses on a contract basis. It's not a job. It's a contract. You're in charge of your own financials, taxes. It's 1099. I'm teaching 20 today. I'm going to teach 20 next week. And I'm probably going to teach 20 the next week after that. You know why? Because there's like 1 million businesses in Northern California, in my region. There's 4 million in the state. And they need help now. And you know who can help them? SBDCs, because we're paid by SBA to be their no-cost advisor. Hold their hand and help them. You know who doesn't help them? Customer face-to-face is SBA. SBA is they're the guarantor for the PPP, Payment Protection Act. Those monies come from the lender. SBA is not in charge of telling the lender you have to do these loans. They have to go to their chief credit officer, rewrite their credit policy overnight, and realize and figure out, do we really want to do 1% loan that's a 2-year loan? Does it really make sense for our bank? It's up to the lenders, not the bank, not the SBA for the PPP. The EIDL loan, that's directly from SBA. They're giving you money. That's them doing their part. They don't have time to talk to you as a business owner. They would love to, but that's what we get paid to do at no cost. And we're here. We're here to help you. We have plenty of team members. We could jump on board. We could talk to you. We could help you apply. We could help you put your financials together. We could help you do those crazy mathematical calculations to let you know how much you apply for the PPP and how much you apply for the EIDL. And then when the world changes again over the weekend and we don't even know what's happening, and there's a new loan product that comes out of nowhere, we're going to help you understand that as well, because that's what we do very, very well.
Awesome.
I know I spoke fast, but
there's a lot of info.
I'll just stop there. It's a lot of info. It's hard to do it in 10 minutes because I've been rewriting content daily to teach not only my region how to do all this stuff, but also teach business owners and teach virtual town hall meetings and senators and congresspeople how to do this, because it's so convoluted. The bill they wrote is 800 pages. The sections that we need to read is like 10 pages. Finding them is a little tricky, but we have it and we understand it, and we're the best to deliver the content. And we're hoping that nothing else changes, because it's been changing every day very rapidly. So we're hoping that this is it, but we don't know. It's changing. So
yeah, a lot of dynamicism here. But Scott, really appreciate you joining. So really just the key takeaways here for our audience is, like, first and foremost, SBDC is a great resource if you're looking for a zero-cost solution to understand how to navigate this time. They run quite a few webinars. I shared a link directly to the NorCal SBDC website. You can look at their webinars, their resources. You can also reach out directly. We'll also share Scott's contact information as you kind of help direct. I think the other second key takeaway that both Scott and Carrie helped emphasize: don't pay anyone. You should not be paying people for this element right now. There's meaningful resources. So if anyone's offering you their services for cost, even if it's a discounted cost, it's still not worth it unless it's $0. So recognize that there's a lot of amazing solutions here. The SBDC is financed by the SBA. So essentially they're government backed. Their incentive is to help their community. So again, they're a great local resource. And more importantly, not only can they help you navigate this now, they do a lot of great stuff on the business building side as well too. So they have a lot of other separate webinars. Of course, the next 2 to 4 weeks of Scott's life is all going to be this stuff, unfortunately. But after that, there's quite a bit of other resources to take into, including free workshops, free webinars as well too. So outside of that, guys, I'm going to quickly jump to our last speaker really quickly, and that's from a specific local lender. Thanks again so much for your time, Scott. So on our front, we're going to move to Bryson Reynoso. Hey, Bryson, are you still there? Let me, yeah.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Scott, thanks for your info. Good to see you on this call. Phil, Scott, thank you for inviting us to talk more about how we can offer just information. There are so many acronyms. PPP is Paycheck Protection Program. SBA, you've heard who they are. Tri-Counties Bank, we are a community lender. So we are here to help our community. I am not soliciting this to anybody. I'm giving information. We do receive a finder's fee, if you will, for processing these once they get funded. But today it costs you nothing. I make nothing. We make nothing until somebody gets money. This is something that is something that we feel is an opportunity to help our partners, our community, our next door neighbors. I have 31 applications sitting on my desk this morning. I got here at 7:15, and there was a gentleman sitting in front of my office locked door with 2 reams of paper of financials, drinking his coffee and reading the newspaper. And I was a little startled because I was the first one to open up. But basically, he got my number from somebody, and wanted to make sure his application was submitted. I do not know when we're submitting them today. Once again, they're not being submitted to SBA. They're being submitted to our SBA department. We are an SBA preferred lender. Scott knows us pretty well. We're able to do everything we possibly can to vet our financials best we can for our clients and submit them to our department, and then hopefully move on to SBA and have them be blessed, and then move to loan docs and signing. What does that look like? What's the time frame? I have no idea. We were told 3 to 4 weeks of payment, but who knows if that means from submittal or if that means from approval. Once again, like everybody has said, it is, more will be revealed. I'm more than happy to chat with anybody. I do have to get off the call. This is important for us to be able to tell more people about it. I have an email that I can send you with all the things that are required. We do not have our own approval. We do not have our own application. We're using SBA's that has been updated, like the gentleman earlier said this morning. I forgot your name. I apologize. So here to help, here to answer questions. We just appreciate the opportunity to be in here live with you all. We are in the Rayleigh Supermarket on the 25025 Blue Ravine Road, open from 10 to 3. I will not be leaving at 3. I guarantee that today. I was here till 8:30 last night. It's very important to me and to our community. We want to take care of you. And if you feel like you want more information, feel free to reach out. I sent a message to everyone with our office number here. My partner and I, Jennifer Martinez is my business banker. She and I are assisting the clients that we already have in the hopper. And just to reiterate, you do not have to be a Tri-Counties Bank client. End of story. There are lenders that are saying you have to be, and you have to go through the online banking. They don't want their phone to ring. They've got too much going on. They don't want their phone to ring off the hook like it has been. I will try to talk to everybody that calls best I can. Like I said, I have 32 applications on my desk that are fully all the finance. I mean, I even have financials for the last 3 years for a lot of these people because it's that important to them. Once again, I don't mean to try to come off aggressive, but this is very important for us. And more than happy to answer any more questions.
Yeah, that's
again,
great.
Phil, Scott, thank you so much, sir, for giving us the opportunity to chat. You are a power partner, and anything I can do to help you and your community and our community, I'm happy to talk to. So thanks again.
Awesome. Real quick, Bryson, I know you have to leave, but just a couple quick questions. So you did confirm that you don't need to be a banking partner to be able to apply. My quick question to follow up there is, do you guys have an online application available, or what is the best way to be able to like navigate or communicate with Tri-Counties Bank right now?
Yeah, thank you. So correct, you do not have to be a existing lender, existing client, whether it's a checking account or a loan, or a personal account or a savings account or a safe deposit box. Okay, so let's just make that clear. Number two, I didn't know we had a portal online. One of my clients just said, hey, I sent some information this morning. Best thing is to get it to me. Sorry, give me 1 second here. My phone is, are you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, get me your email address. I can send you the 7 attachments that we've been asked by SBA to fulfill that need to be able to be at 100% submittal. I'm sure everybody has seen versions of the application. I'm using the one from the Treasury. We are given that by SBA. There is a needs list. If you want to submit this and you want to have more conversation, I'll just, instead of texting it, I'll just text you my email. There is a spam filter.
Yeah, the great thing, Bryson, is for everyone, when we shared that initial Dropbox link with all the local partners, we have both Bryson and Jen Martinez's email and direct information on there, so they could reach out there. And then Bryson also just recently just put his number there so they could reach out directly. I would assume email's best, and then you could essentially follow up with the 7 email requirements and attachments that you're looking for, correct?
Sure. Just be forewarned that it is a spam. There is a spam filter firewall. So any email you send right now, I will not get it till probably 3 p.m. So word of caution. I mean, the minute I hang up, I'm sure I'm going to get 15 phone calls. That's fine. But just know that I'm getting actually messages as we speak here to call people. If you want to talk, I can talk easier than text or email. So give us a call at the number on that spreadsheet. And thanks again, Phil, for putting that together. Yeah, happy to be assistance.
Awesome.
Happy Friday. Enjoy some coffee. We'll be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bryson, for the time as well. So guys, that kind of completes kind of the core conversation we had today. I know we covered quite a bit, and hopefully this was all kind of valuable for all of you. As kind of our next steps, we'll follow up with both a full replay of this webinar separately, and we'll also send it to you directly as well via email. We'll send you the slides. I just linked in the direct slides, so if you want to download and view them there as well, you have that. It's kind of the core information. Separately, by the end of day today, we'll share an updated list in terms of the information we're getting from banks. Literally during this call, I've gotten about 20 messages or emails from our local banking partners of what they're doing and what they're not doing. So again, assume this is going to be very live for the next few hours and next few days as well too. So aside from that, really, we hope there's actionable information here. You now have a couple local lenders to reach out to you. Use your time today and tomorrow to start building that communication and at least getting to that top of funnel for them. Outside of that, make sure that you have all your information and you're ready to apply. As both, we've heard from both people here today. They're utilizing either the direct application we noted at the top of our presentation from the Treasury, so you have a very clear understanding of that information as well. Outside of that, we'll also be following up with our upcoming webinars next week, which are going to be tackling digital. So thank you all for joining the Compass series today, and we wish you really a best Friday, and hopefully we'll see you on our next chats as well. Enjoy the rest of your days, people. Thank you so much.